Who's a coup? There's a coup. Everywhere a coup. Old American had a coup. Now it's in Belarus. Fam?
So there's a coup in Belarus, and it's basically the
Not
U.S. and
yet.
NATO. Well, it's pretty
Kinda
much
creeping.
it's pretty much there.
Not yet.
It's pretty much there. The U.S. and NATO are attempting to overthrow the what they consider an authoritarian governor, an authoritarian leader. I'm sorry, an authoritarian president. And this is classic U.S. So let's kind of go over it. Ben Norton tweeted pretty much a great thread kind of summarizing exactly what's going on. And basically he's saying the U.S. and NATO are attempting to have a color revolution to overthrow the government in Belarus. The only remaining, by the way, Belarus is the only remaining ex-Soviet state that still has socialistic policies and state control over the economy. Stratfor, the shadow CIA, is admitting they want a neoliberal Western puppet regime, and he cites the Stratfor company right there. Yeah. And then he says the U.S. government propaganda outlet RFE/RL is doing nonstop coverage, amplifying the neoliberal opposition in Belarus, acting as its megaphone. And so here they say thousands of people gathered in Minsk in support of the opposition presidential candidate Svetlana Tisik. I can't say that. Hanuskaya. After she had to cancel her campaign event. Okay. And then he goes on to say the neoliberal opposition in Belarus was being advised by a high-profile Washington analyst and Harvard Uni fellow who worked on the Obama campaign and was a senior advisor to many opposition and presidential candidates in Russia, Georgia, and Ukraine. Even the neoliberal U.S.-dominated World Bank had to reluctantly acknowledge the fact that Belarus decreased poverty from 41.9% in 2000 to 5.7% in 2016. Belarus reduced the poverty rate faster than all other countries in Europe and Central Asia region. And the fall of the poverty rate in Belarus reflects the inclusiveness of the country's economic growth. Belarus exhibited the highest rate of growth of expenditures of the bottom 40% of the population during the period of 2006 to 2001, at a time when the opposite happened elsewhere. Yeah, it did. And in Belarus, government taxes and spending help shift money from the rich to the poor. Direct transfer pensions, in particular, are the most equalizing and pro-poor of the fiscal interventions in Belarus. Direct transfers and direct taxes lower the national poverty headcount by 17%. The U.S. has activated its Color Revolution network in Belarus, which is trying to overthrow the government. By the way, this Belarusian opposition media outlet is funded by numerous Western governments and billionaire oligarchs who bankroll regime change efforts. Mm-hmm. So while there's a lot of media citing that everybody is in favor of overthrowing this dictator, he's saying that these outlets are all funded by the U.S., NATO, and these pro-Western regime change people, oligarchs. U.S. propaganda outlet Radio Free Europe / Radio Liberty. Anything with the word liberty, I'm suspect of. A CIA cutout that was originally called Radio Liberation from Bolshevism, which, by the way, I freaking love the Bolsheviks, is churning out constant coverage of Belarus, of course, acting as a huge megaphone for the neoliberal opposition. This color revolution leader in Belarus is entirely funded by the U.S. government. He is an analyst at U.S. government propaganda network USA GM Gov, a Vaclav Havel fellow at the CIA outlet or cutout RFERL, VP of the U.S. government funded DC-based alumnus of American University, which is one of the better political universities to go to. He says they're not even hiding it. This Belarusian regime changer leading the protests is an employee of the U.S. government. He boasts of working for numerous U.S. government propaganda outlets, which are CIA cutouts. His org, DigicomNet, lists the U.S. State Department as a partner. So you can go right here, and here it is. Franak Viakorka. And
easier name to say.
The digital media strategist for U.S. Agency for Global Media, head of the training at the Digital Communications Network, award-winning filmmaker, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and it says he works for the research media analyst for the U.S. Agency of Global Media. Franek is a frequent speaker and an advocate for democracy and personal freedom. People advocating for democracy and is like really like code words for everything we hate.
We're going to remove this guy.
Right.
Our own guy in.
He has served as a creative director for the Belarus service of Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, vice president for Digital Communications Network, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you guys can see that.
Wait, the National Endowment for Democracy? No.
Yep.
Freedom House? No. Open Society Foundations? Oh, the trifecta.
Yeah.
Please.
So there you go. There's that. And yeah, so that's pretty much
we should have Ben Norton on this show.
We will. We will have Ben Norton tomorrow.
When? Tomorrow at 2.
Tomorrow
Ben
at
Norton
2.
talking China.
China
maybe
and a little bit of
Belarus.
Belarus now because we have to get on this because
we'll show the police force because this is a situation here, fam. Really, to tell you the truth, it's very, very complicated in Belarus because a lot of people in Belarus kind of refer to the leader as the last dictator of Eastern Europe of sorts. He has played both sides of the coin. In other words, in Ukraine, he kind of funded some of the Western Ukraine, provided them weapons against the Eastern Ukrainian, which was kind of Russian-backed people. So, and just recently, there was a arrest. Okay, last week, I think we're going to put this up real quick. Those are the police force. Johnny, is that L.A. or is that Belarus? What do we got? Take a look. And before we go to that one, let's look at NATO too as well, because NATO is kind of open about who they want there too as well. That NATO right before that one, Johnny, because.
Okay, so Max Blumenthal tweeted out that the Defense Secretary Mark Esper succinctly described the real goal of NATO as deter Russia and avoid peace in Europe. Again, we've had our issues with NATO just because they're very pro-Western imperialism, so they've been used to promote regime change. So let's watch that.
Let's be clear. I think Germany is the wealthiest country in Europe. Germany can and should pay more to its defense. It should certainly meet the 2% standard, and I would argue go above and beyond that. And I've said that very publicly. I've said that very privately to my counterparts as well about the importance of NATO, any alliance, sharing the burden so that we can all deter Russia and avoid peace in Europe.
Right.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's very complicated because, once again, the Belarusian leader has been playing both sides of the coin. It seems that both Russia and the United States, the West, are kind of fed up with this guy, and they want their own puppet in there. So he had to be careful about being attacked from both sides because, like I said, a lot of his energy he gets at a discount from Russia, so it's embedded in their economy. There are a lot of social programs there that help a lot of poor people. You can't ignore the statistics. However, there's been a growing sentiment that he's a little bit old. They want to get him out of the way.
Right.
He's not as progressive enough as the young people. There's a lot of young people in the country, just like in China and Hong Kong in certain areas, not China, but Hong Kong, where the young people are kind of getting asked out and they want more jobs and they want more for their future. So he's had to play both sides. Now, there was a situation last week that happened, fam, where there were some Russians that got arrested where the Belarusian government was saying they foiled an agitating coup attempt by the Russians now, the other side. Belarus, they want them to explain their actions. Like I said, he's got to put, he's the leader of Belarus, Lukashenko, is concerned about both sides trying to gain power, whether it be Russian influence or Western influence. Obviously, the Western influence is hyped up because he's still buying resources and getting energy from Russia. Western influence doesn't want, they want them getting, energy from the West. They don't want them dealing with Russia. They want to cut them off. I think the American West is the bigger threat than Putin is. But there is a lot of craziness going on both sides, so we have to understand it. This moon over Alabama, I'm going to read this article real quick because it's a really quick article, but it does explain, too, once again, how enthralled the West is when it comes to NGOs and like the NED. It's terrible. In mid-June, we reported that the U.S. is preparing a color revolution in Belarus. We talked about it. I think they had the slippery shoe revolution they were calling it, remember? A subpart of the operation has been revealed today. It was designed to denigrate Russia in the eyes of the Belarusian population and its president. Over the last years, President Alexander G. Lukashenko has tried to distance himself from Russia and to get some benefits from the West. And like I said, fam, he's been trying to distance himself from Russia. He's been playing both sides. He's in a very serious situation. But to get nearer to the West also has a price. A U.S. ambassador in town means that the regime change plots are never far away. That sudden attention, the sudden attention that Belarus now receives from the U.S. aligned organizations is a sure sign that one is underway. On August 9th, Belarus will hold presidential elections, was yesterday, and Lukashenko won. He'll do his best to win again. He won. Color revolutions are usually launched over controversial elections. The results are publicly put into doubt even before the election begins. So that's what they do. They put the doubt in there once again, and then when the results finally arrive, Western media will claim that they diverge from the expectation is created and therefore must have been fake. So once again, they put the energy and the sentiment there that these are going to be fake, that they're already planning to cheat. When the results come in, they cheated. Take to the streets. Let's go. Western media is pushing it. Let's get the leader out so we can get our puppet in. People will be pushed into the streets to protest. They sure were. To increase the chaos, some sharpshooters may be put to work to fire at the police and at the protesters like it was done in the Ukraine. So in other words, they plant people on both sides. Sharpshooters that shoot at the police then shoot back. Last year, the National Endowment for Democracy financed at least 34 projects and organizations in Belarus. The U.S. does not do that out of charity, but to put its finger on the scale. So pretty much that's something I wanted to point out. This is a crazy situation. We don't know what's going to happen over there in Belarus. We got to talk to Ben Norton. We got to talk to Mark Sloboda. We got guys over there, but it is a nutso situation. The West obviously wants it. They want another NATO ally on the border of Russia so they can put missiles there. They want Belarus doing business with who? The West and not Russia. Now, here's the thing, fam. Even though he's distanced himself from Russia at times and has gone like to the West and played footsie with them, he's still taking all that energy at a reduced price. Russia and Putin still gives Belarus a lot of oil at a very serious reduced price. That allows him to enrich the social programs within his country and how he's pulled people out of poverty. So I don't know what we do in this situation over here because, I have a friend who's from Belarus and he wants Lukashenko gone. But I don't know who's going to come in his place because if it's a Western oligarch or a friend of the Western oligarch, it's not good, fam.
Right. And it would be smart to maintain relations with Russia because of proximity. We're so far away. It'd be like, it's the same thing with Hong Kong. It's like, we're so far away. It would be very difficult for us to do anything besides try to like instill a regime change the way we've been doing because they have Russia has the advantage of being in like home turf. And I just don't see it going well for Belarus unless they go towards a Western oligarch because all we're going to do is pretty much colonize and exploit whatever they can give us and pretty much also build more of a I guess a station where we can threaten Russia from. I mean that's pretty much all we're looking at right now.
And the same thing will happen that happened in the Ukraine where now they're one of the most poorest country, people are starving, people are killed, and it's not good.